when he spoke, everyone listened. You know, the whole room sat still and made eye contact, and no one was game to get up and go to the toilet even. You know, he was that good. And that's the calibre of where our union's been, and they're still leading the way at 82 years old. You know, we've got a long time in this union left, and I think we've got a lot to give, and it's an inspiration from Gordon to make sure we give more.
There was a great attack. Everything was very strong against anybody progressive. And it was all based on the old red bogey of anti-communism. There was a senator in the United States called Senator Joseph McCarthy, and he set out on a worldwide basis to destroy the unions and destroy the Labor Party or anything that stood for the workers. And it was really vicious. If you had a red handkerchief, you had to be careful or you might be branded. And you used to get abused, and all this wharfies and progressive people got abused. And the wharfies were always to blame. If they went for a wage increase, they're wrecking the economy of the country, they're holding the nation to ransom, and all these things. But it was always done as Hitler used it, under the guise of anti-communism. But as far as the communists in Australia are concerned, I've met many great men and women. And it's been my privilege also to meet many great women and men in the Labor Party and no party. And that great unity welded between such people with different views has been my pleasure. Now, what I want to say to you is that as far as getting up and speaking is concerned, not everybody can get up in front of a crowd and speak. But if you want to train yourself, practice at home. Don't say too much for a start. But whether you're a good speaker or just a mediocre speaker, or you don't speak at all, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is loyalty. And I don't mean blind loyalty where you just keep on agreeing. And if ever you've got an opinion, always express it. And union officials, in the main, the vast majority that I know of, they will accept what you've got to say. Sometimes when you think the shy idea might be a silly idea, it turns out to be the best idea. So never be afraid to say what you think. I can remember more than one occasion down on the job at Smoko, where blokes have said to fellas, "You had your chance to say that at the stop work meeting this morning. Why didn't you say it then?" I said, "Now wait a minute. Not everybody can get up in front of 300 or 400 people. And does it matter? Some people can say what they think over a cup of tea, like this man's saying now. So let him say it, and let us take into our minds what he does say." So that's the main thing. Don't be frightened to say what you think, because criticism, as well as constructive criticism, is wonderful. Because if you say it properly, most union leaders and most fellow workers will accept constructive criticism. Now, I've always been, for years and years now, I involve myself on the open line talkback, and I get disappointed that hardly any other unions, whenever I get on and put progressive politics, defend the unions, defend social issues, injustices. So I'd urge you all to give consideration to relax in your own home and get on open line for about 3 minutes, and you'll feel good. Because who do you reach? You reach about 100,000 people. And, you know, going out letterboxing and then having to go to work the next morning, that's one thing. But if you can get on that open line for a few minutes, I do it a lot. Back in 1950, I worked for 3 years at Lysart's factory in Port Kembla. And I was elected to go to a national rank and file convention after a branch convention. And I was elected to represent the Port Kembla branch at the Second World Peace Congress overseas. And there was 2,000 delegates from 81 countries. And the peace movement, of course, like wharfies, was branded as this and that. And I couldn't get a job. I wasn't even allowed into the old army camp hostel where I lived for 3 years and got on well with the manager. He didn't want to talk to me when I went up to see an old mate. Told me I could see him, but it'd be outside the property's gates. Went to factory after factory, couldn't get a job. Plenty of work those days. That's why they had the army camp. They bought it out so they could go to the country and recruit labour. I went up to a coal mine. Yep, and this tells the story. Look at that little old bit of paper in about January 1951. and it's not a union paper, it's out of the Mercury, the daily capitalist paper in Wollongong. The miners at Corrimal Colliery tell me professional pacifist Gordon Horn was ordered off the pit site by the management after addressing miners on the morning shift earlier this week. Yesterday he addressed the afternoon shift after the miners threatened a stoppage if he were ordered off for trespassing. Horn, who attended the World Peace Congress as an ironworkers delegate, is now employed full-time for 3 weeks by that union to address unionists on his experiences behind the Iron Curtain. That's just an indication of how tough things were in those days. Well, now, I want to wish you all good luck when you go back. Give my greetings to all your members and your branch officials, and I wish as well for the future, because the slogan of this conference is remember the past, own the future. Now, it will depend on you young people like you whether or not we own, if not the entire future, a decent slice of the future. Your activities and your interest will decide their fate for the future. And let me say this, if this room full of people here was full of bank owners, oil barons, coal owners and capitalist class in general, and the end of the world come and you were the only ones left, how would you build a new world? You would build it the same, full of greed and hatred, selfishness, exploitation. Right, well, let's reverse it. If the end of the world came and you people as you are here now were the only ones left, how would you build a new world? I know how you'd build it. You'd build it with fairness and justice, where men, women and children all had a fair go in life as a result of the profits made from the banks and the oil barons and so forth, was not used for capitalist profits but was used for the welfare of the entire people, handled and managed by the wonderful working class. And that's, you just think about that. If the world ended and you people were the only ones left, how would you build a new world? I leave you with that thought. But in final conclusion, I just want to say this, that I don't know whether you back the winner of the Melbourne Cup or not. But I can give you a real good bet for the future. And you've heard about it before. The MUA, here to stay, and I thank you.
He's an 82-year-old man, and he needed help with some water to carry on, and yet he was so passionate about the union movement and our union and things that had happened in the past, and got a standing ovation at the end. The guys here at the conference really appreciated his input and his passion. The passion still. At 82 years of age, he retired in 1991, and he's still here helping our youth, helping the union along.
They saw Gordon speak, and they all learnt so much from that experience and want to get that own experience in their own branches.
The motto of the conference was know the past, own the future. And I think, it really goes hand in hand. The youth need to have the patience and the respect to learn the history of the union, know where we come from, know what the battles were, know what the challenges were faced, because it puts them in a greater understanding and a greater position to meet the challenges going forward. So to me, it is essential that the two key areas of veterans and youth are marching forward together as one, and I think it just enhances our protection as an industry.
Together we bargain, divided we pay. The only thing that's keeping us free, solidarity.